Hello there everybody, What Culture's Adam Cleary here. Before I start, I just want to say that I love The Rock. I loved him when he was the people's champion. I loved him when he was the most electrifying man in all of sports entertainment. I loved him when he was this Hollywood novelty, and I love him now he is this main event franchise player in cinema. In fact, I love him so much I employ this man to follow me around at all times while dressed as The Rock, just so I can feel like I am near to The Rock's energy. See? I should probably do this on my own, to be honest, so if you want to, you can just go away. You can go away. Cool. See you night. Since his formal debut in The Mummy Returns some 18 years ago, The Rock has been on this one-man march through Tinseltown to be taken seriously as an actor. He's done it in the face of bad writing, worse direction, and the kind of lazy typecasting that all pro wrestlers will inevitably face. And the fact that he stands here now as not only a legitimate actor, but one with this back catalogue that is rich, that is varied, that is critically acclaimed, is arguably the most impressive thing he's ever done. Yes, even bigger than doing that song with Wyclef Jean, even bigger than beating Jimmy Fallon in the first ever lip sync battle, even bigger than winning the WWE's Tell Me You Did Not Just Say That award for saying Rusev smelled like Chewbacca's hairy beanbag. Bigger than all of that. But how do you rank all of these movies? How do you stack them atop one another in some kind of order that will at least vaguely smell like it makes sense? Well, I think I can do it because, as I say, I love The Rock. My name is Adam Cleary, and these are all of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's movies ranked from worst to best. Number 34, The Scorpion King. In theory, The Scorpion King should be revered as one of these big moments where something great finally began to take shape. It should be held in the same cultural regard as Beyoncé's time in Destiny's Child, or that time the woman put the cat in the bin on CCTV. But sadly, it plays more like a food fight than an actual film, and the biggest testament you can play to The Rock in it is that he's not even nearly the worst thing in it. Number 33, Empire State. Now, I'm not a filmmaker, obviously, but I would say if you're gonna give Dwayne Johnson top billing on your film, if you're gonna put Dwayne Johnson on the poster of your film, if you are going to attach your entire movie's marketing prowess on the sexual magnetism / acting chops of Dwayne Johnson, maybe let Dwayne Johnson do his actual thing in it, rather than just breastfeeding leading man experience to Liam Hemsworth. Number 32, Faster. Hope you're sitting down for this one, because the movie Faster, which yes, I know you haven't seen, is about cars. That's right, it's an on-the-nose titling convention in an American action movie. I know, who would have thought? Anyway, there's some explosions, some weird dialogue, but it just never really meshes together. It's just bad. Number 31, Walking Tall. Hi, I'm Johnny Knoxville, and welcome to nearly 2 hours of unqualified and confusing violence stitched together by exploitation dialogue and apparently no direction whatsoever. Number 30, G.I. Joe Retaliation. Yeah, while a lot of people were confused by the very need to do a sequel to the G.I. Joe movie in the first place, what really confused me was the producer's decision to simply hand all the action figures to a bunch of really irritable, tired children and then just do a shot-for-shot remake of everything they came up with. Number 29, Be Cool. Be Cool is a fascinating movie when you think about it, because 2005 wasn't even that long ago, and yet the very idea that John Travolta was this really stylish kitsch attraction for a motion picture seems like the calling card of some civilization that's long since descended beneath the waves. Like alien archaeologists should be pulling out DVD copies of it and wondering who these weird people were who found this cat-looking motherfucker to be such a cultural icon. Anyway, the top Rotten Tomatoes review of it says, I was glad when it was finished. Number 28, The Game Plan. Range! Do you see? It's range. It's range that he's got in this one. He might have to crack some skulls together, but they're not generic foreign baddies or some nameless terrorist threat. It's American football players, and he's doing it because, well, he needs to do it for the daughter he's just found out he has, because his playboy lifestyle is out the window now. He's got responsibilities. After all, range! That's all this was. Number 27, Doom. Hello, yes, Adam Cleary here, and I want it officially logged on the record that I had Doom in the top 15 of this list until my learned colleagues from both the film and gaming sections of this company pelted me with rotten cabbages. Apparently, the fact that I don't feel remotely guilty about it doesn't mean it isn't still considered a guilty pleasure. So, they are under protest. Number 26, Race to Witch Mountain. Every single film critic absolutely lashed this film by doing some kind of play on words with the word race. Like, it didn't get out of first gear, or it was spinning its wheels, or it went off the tracks, or something like that. Yada, 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 nerds, etc., etc. Anyway, the film was a bit of a stinker, but Johnson did get praise for his central performance. It just wasn't enough to save it. Number 25, Planet 51. This is a children's film in which several, and The Rock means several, jokes about anal probing are made. Number 24, Journey to the Mysterious Island. Now, you're looking at the title of this film, aren't you? And you're wondering, Journey to the Mysterious Island. Is it like Journey 2 because the second Journey film and the Mysterious Island is like the central thing? Or is it about the actual journey and that should be read as Journey to the Mysterious Island? It's hard. It's tough, isn't it? Tough. This life's just, it's hard sometimes, and stuff like this shouldn't be making it harder, should it? The title of films. That should be an easy thing that we have to do in our day-to-day lives. Anyway, the question remains, but it made $340 million off a $70-something million budget, so not a single person involved in this production cares about any of that. Number 23, Gridiron Gang. More range for you now, as The Rock is, I think, like a prison officer. I have seen this one, but I don't really remember it very well. He's like the prison officer, and he refuses to give up on this, like, gang of violent youths. So instead of, like, just teaching them the hard way, he puts them in an American football league, I think a high school American football league. And it's all based on a true story, but in that way the true stories are, where they remove all the non-sympathetic elements to the central character. So it's range, and it's got quite a nice story, but it's just, nah. Number 22, The Tooth Fairy. Is The Tooth Fairy really better than the 12 films that have preceded it in this list? Maybe not, but it is an important film in The Rock's career. Even if he doesn't realise it, this is a seminal moment for him, because when he got cast in this, it was still very, look, come see the freak show, it's one of those wrestlers, and he's wearing a tutu, bring the whole family, it'll be a laugh. But by the time they came to cast the sequel for this, he was in the Fast and Furious films, he was one of Hollywood's most dependable leading men in action films, and he was so far above it, you would not believe. Like, they had to get Larry the Cable Guy in to replace him. Those are the levels. Number 21, The Other Guys. When Dwayne Johnson looks back on his career, what do you think he will consider his greatest ever achievement? Because for me, it's starring in a watchable Will Ferrell movie. Number 20, Snitch. Another seminal moment in Johnson's career here, because producers realised after Snitch that they could literally strap anything they wanted to his back and he would somehow make it a worthwhile film. Like, in parts, this wants to be Breaking Bad. In parts, this wants to be Narcos. In parts, it wants to blow up lots of cars. And only in one of those criteria does it even come close to succeeding. And I'll give you a clue. Beep, beep, boom, etc. And yet the big lad delivers a central performance so good that this film is actually watchable, even though all the other ingredients around him are... Number 19, Southland Tales. Right, I'm not even going to try and explain the premise of this film to you, because it was made by the same guy who made Donnie Darko, so yeah, draw your own conclusions there. But there's like a porn star trying to set up her own business, a policeman who's in this weird conspiracy. Johnson plays a boxer a guy called Boxer, who's got amnesia, and it's all about this big social commentary on the Western world during the 4th of July weekend. It's just everything at the wall. Some of it works, most of it doesn't. Number 18, Get Smart. Hey Rocky, yeah, it's your agent here. Yeah, listen, I got this great part for you. It's a reimagining of a beloved 60s TV show, okay? So, wait, no, not Bewitched. I'm trying to tell you, it's this great film. They're gonna make, no, not the Beverly Hillbillies. It's a Steve Carell vehicle, and they want you, no, not I Dream of Janine. No, just listen to me now, okay? They're gonna have that Anne Hathaway chicken. No, it's not the Munsters. Just let me finish. Number 17, Hercules. This is it, isn't it? This is the exact midpoint of Dwayne Johnson's career. This is the exact quintessential film he's sort of become famous for these days. Because, right, this film was simultaneously nowhere near as good as everyone thought it was going to be, but also way better than it had any right to be. That's what The Rock does. He gets you really excited about what are genuinely not very good films, and then when you walk out of it, you go, well, I'm so glad he was in that, because he was the only good thing in it. Now, this is admittedly a good twist on the classic tale. It's bolshy, it's fun, it's action-packed, but like, we got hyped, didn't we? And then we left disappointed, but still thought he was great. Look at him, man! He's wearing a lion's head as a hat. Number 16, San Andreas. Do you remember disaster? Are you old enough to remember disaster films? Or is your knowledge of Hollywood blockbusters all this gritty, realistic, shared universe, Marvel stuff? Because I'm old enough to remember when disaster films, standalone disaster films, were all the rage, and this was so good to see The Rock bring one back and it actually be good. Not as good as the other ones he would subsequently do, but good nonetheless. San Andreas is all falling apart and he's in a helicopter, and thank you so much, The Rock's agent, for sending us that signed poster of it. Number 15, The Mummy Returns. Look, yes, all right, I know, I've seen it. I know he looks like a cross between a novelty toy and a condom filled with dead gravy, but the film is so good up until that point, isn't it? Then it's just got a really bad CGI Dwayne Johnson. So, good film, plus high banter effects. That's fine. Number 14, Baywatch. Question, what else can be said about this movie and I suppose part of Dwayne Johnson's career that is not merely said by the fact that this movie was a critical bomb and yet still made back 3 times its budget at the box office? In fact, what else can be said about bad film nerds telling us all not to bother with this under any circumstances, but then cool people like me and you still getting hammered and giving it our entire Saturday night? Nothing, I would say. I think that says it all. I mean, nobody's gonna ever tell you this is a coherent film, but I will still punch in the actual mouth anybody who tries to tell me it's boring. Number 13, The Fate of the Furious. Okay, so the thing about cars, right, and I'm not one of those weird lads who fancies cars or anything, but they only work if all their parts are working together. And that's kind of what's made the Fast and the Furious films so successful. All their parts, all their stars, all their stories, everything has always kind of worked together. And the thing about cars as well, and again, I'm not one of these weirdos who fancies cars, is if you keep adding cool parts to your car might get a bit cooler or a bit faster or something, I don't know. So after adding The Rock and adding Statham, they added Helen Mirren and Charlize Theron. It's just this big, balls-out, bolshy, spectacular thing. It's probably not the best Fast and Furious film The Rock's done, but still better than most other action films out there. Good fun. Oh, and the way they deal with Paul Walker not being in this one is just really good, isn't it? That was really nice. Tear to the eye. Number 12, The Rundown / Welcome to the Jungle. Massive shame. This one, Dwayne Johnson and Sean William Scott put together one of the best action films of the early millennium, but because back then they were simply just The Rock and Stifler, nobody gave it the time of day. Maybe do now. Number 11, Rampage. So I saw Rampage at the cinema twice, and I still find it really confusing that The Rock is not usually the biggest thing on the screen at any given time. It usually is Gorilla Pal, isn't it? You've got The Rock being there, all hench and that, but then you've got this huge white ape thing that's even bigger, and it just doesn't really work. It's like getting steak and chips, but where the steak is smaller than the chips. Oh, and if you're wondering why I've started calling him The Rock instead of Dwayne Johnson, it's because every time he communicates in sign language with the ape, and he just does communicate, and I haven't got time to get into it now, he just does do that. He does this for me, which means Rock in sign language. I love that. Number 10, Fast and Furious 6. So yeah, James Bernardinelli of the website Real Reviews surmised in his 2-star review of this film that the Fast and the Furious 6 exists purely to showcase how idiotically over-the-top action sequences can become when annoyances like gravity and plot are tossed to the side. Can you even imagine how joyless a life you must have lived to utter that sentence as a negative? Number 9, Central Intelligence. In much the same way that Johnson took us back to the disaster movies of yore with San Andreas and all the other ones, he kind of started taking us back to the great buddy cop movie with this, didn't he? And oh my god, how many buddy cop movies did I watch in my youth? Rush Hour, Rush Hour 2, Shanghai Noon, Shanghai Nights I guess you could say, Blue Streak, Exit Wounds, Half Past Dead, Bad Boys 2. If I had all the hours back I spent watching these films, I could have learned Mandarin. And in fairness, Central Intelligence is way better than most of those films in the first place. Like, the dynamic between Johnson and Hart is very good. It's got this great anti-bullying message. It's just a lot smarter than you would expect given how much they blow up in it. Number 8, Skyscraper. In the movie Skyscraper, which if you've not seen it, you can probably entirely surmise the plot of by using A, the title, and B, whatever that image is, Johnson plays a one-legged man who, for whatever reason, does not bash a single person in the head with his prosthetic leg. Now, I'll level with you. Some mornings I wake up and I really appreciate that they never did that because it's such a lazy and cheap gag. But other mornings I wake up furious because I will never ever get that mental image. Bop. Number 7, Furious 7. Firstly, yes, this is the one with Ronda Rousey in it, but more importantly, this is the one that elevated the Fast and Furious franchise from just being that, they're doing another film with cars in it, to Hollywood's most bankable, most money-driven, most bestest action movie franchise, and The Rock is the major reason for that. In fact, I personally think this is the best Fast and Furious film, but my more learned colleagues tell me I am both dumb and wrong. Number 6, Fast 5. Yes, and this one is why, apparently, Adam, you idiot, this is meant to be the best one. And I can kind of get why, because the franchise was floundering after Fast and Furious, and then this one came along, they put The Rock in it, and it was just really, really good, because he starts out as like sort of the baddie, sort of a sympathetic antagonist, ends up teaming up with them, but in the end he's still his own man. He tells them he's going to be chasing them forever, and I can't really remember how he becomes part of the whole gang. Anyway, really, really good. It's got like that prison break at the start, it's got the train thing at the end, it's class. Number 5, Pain and Gain. Okay, right, just hear me out on this one. Michael Bay is not good. In fact, I would go so far as to say that Michael Bay is not good, verging on actually quite bad, but this is the best film, at least the first hour of it, is the best film he's ever made. Ever. I'm not sure how deliberate any of this is, but its commentary on Western masculine fragility is really interesting when you kind of watch it as a bit of a pastiche of itself. Like, it's still got all those muscly men cliches, like, look, we break the thing and we abuse this man, and oh my god, a woman is bending over something. It's still very Michael Bay, of course, at the end of the day, but it does say something when you watch it in a certain way, like something that hardly any other films say. Don't totally know what that is, but it's something. Number 4, Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Oh, I'm sorry. What's that? A needless and laboured Hollywood remake of a debatably cherished 90s property that nobody actually asked for and nobody was really bothered about, but somehow still arrived to both critical acclaim from fans and, well, critics alike? What's that? Is that the power of Dwayne Johnson? Is it Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle should have been the Total Recall remake? It should have been that battleships thing that Rihanna was in, but no, it's a really good film. It tweaks the original premise to make it about video games because modern, and then they're all kind of playing characters within themselves because sci-fi. Johnson is one of the very best things about this movie, even though he's playing the Rock, but being played by a nervous, dorky child. And that's a really complex performance, and he deserves more acclaim. Number 3, Fighting with My Family. This isn't a Rock film, Adam. You haven't counted any of the other movies. He only technically has a cameo in it. Why the hell are you counting Fighting with My Family? Doesn't really fit the rest of the list. Yes, fair point, dear viewer, but also have you considered just off? Anyway, based on the true story of my close personal friend WWE superstar Paige, yes we are, I have one photograph. This tells a heartwarming story about a fish out of water struggling to adapt to a new life on the opposite side of the world while she pursues her dream. The Rock produced it as well as starred in it and slightly exaggerated his role in her career, but it's genuinely probably the best film about professional wrestling ever made. Fight me. Number 2, Moana. Moana is an absolute triumph. It is stunning in its presentation. It is mythological in its storyline. It is diverse in the way it is written. It is catchy in the music. It looks absolutely stunning. The story's brilliant. I can't say enough good things about Moana. It is the ultimate modern update on the Disney princess formula. And if you're watching this and you have a small child, girl or boy, make them watch this film. Obviously do all the Toy Story films. All the Pixar stuff is great. What else do I recommend? Early Night. Lots of vegetables, don't give them too many sweets because ultimately you don't want to build up a sugar addiction, like low-fat stuff, but also make them watch Moana. And the weird thing is, for a man who made his name in like an industry that is predominantly targeted at children, this is kind of the only film he's really done that feels like it's directly aimed at kids. So it was his first proper stab at that market, and lo and behold, bang, there it go, out the park. Number 1, Hobbs and Shaw. Look, I know that the jury's kind of still out on this one, but it just is, isn't it? It just is the best film he's ever done. Idris Elba calls himself Black Superman. Ryan Reynolds has this giant Maori tribal tattoo. Jason Statham makes the Italian job canon in this universe. Vanessa Kirby dives out of an explosion wearing a blood transfusion backpack. Roman Reigns spears a man clean in half. A helicopter is held in place by power of bicep alone. The Rock necks 3 raw eggs in a protein shaker, and the only thing that is shook is all of the bad film nerds writing on their word blog sites that it lacks constructive dialogue. This is a big, dumb, stupid, nonsensical, illogical slice of pure action cinema that does not take itself seriously for 1 second, that knows exactly what it is and manages to nail every single element of itself to a wall, get its balls back out, and then nail them to it as well. I absolutely love this film, and you get the entire impression the whole way through that they've just gone to Statham and The Rock and gone, hey guys, we have unlimited money. What would you like to do with it? I popped my absolute tits clean off at this movie, and The Rock is magisterial in this role. It's the best thing he's ever done. It's arguably the best thing cinema has ever done. If you disagree, feel free to send me a tweet, which I will ignore. So there you have it, all 8 pages, 4,000 words of my script, all of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's movies ranked from worst to best. If you are watching this, Mr. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, can I just say thank you so much. I love you. Thank you so much. Let us know what you made of it all in the comments below. And of course, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. But in the meantime, though, thank you so much for watching. I have been the man who wishes more than anything in the world that The Rock would be his friend. And I'll see you soon. Bye.